Hello and welcome to Carefree Blues, a podcast and supplement to my column as part of the Yanks podcast network. I am your co-host Kyle.
And I'm your co-host Amadi.
And today we are here to bring you the Carefree Blues podcast. This is, episode number 6?
This is episode 6, man.
Yeah, this is, it's flying by. It's crazy. It's already November. Things are starting to shape up and heat up in the table and everything. Just want to throw a little apology here since I forgot to last podcast. If my voice sounded worse than usual, I was battling a bit of a sickness last week, so just wanted to throw that out there if there were some sniffles in there or whatever. So nonetheless, getting over that. So I guess we'll go straight into the QPR game from Saturday. Omni, what are your thoughts? It was another 3 points. It's always a good thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's definitely good to see us get another 3 points at home, especially. QPR being a team who were desperate for points. I'm happy that we were able to keep that from even being a draw. But there were times during the game when I wasn't feeling as not as confident, but as comfortable as we should have been with a home win, or a home game rather. I think that we started well, but I've noticed that at home, if we start well and we don't score early, we kind of lose a bit of our pressure and a little bit of the drive. And the fans, as Marino noted, kind of don't, they kind of get that apprehensive feeling that we were getting a lot of the time last year.
Yeah.
So that's not really the best sign, but I'm happy that we were able to win regardless of conceding. And that's something that I've seen our team have that kind of spirit this season. That's good to see.
Yeah. Well, firstly, the game, it didn't seem like it was a home game. Like, just the way we were playing, it seemed like we were playing at QPR. It doesn't help that the atmosphere was kind of dull, and Mourinho, he kind of let the supporters know that after the game was over with. But the goal by Oscar, just briefly want to talk about him. What a goal that was, outside of the boot on the first time. That was just phenomenal. Oscar's really turned into one of the more underrated players on this squad. People don't. Most of the credit it goes to Hazard and Fabregas, Costa, and to an extent Courtois. But Oscar does. He does a lot of little things. He gets to the dirty areas on defense. He's not afraid to track back, play box to box, regardless of whether he's playing the camera or whatever you want to call it. But that strike though, that was phenomenal. That's is that 2 games in a row where he scored goals? Which one was it where he had the free kick?
Crystal Palace was the match, yeah. So I think that there was the match in between against United, but he did score that nice free kick against Palace.
Oh yeah, actually I'm way off. That was 2 weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah, it was one match in between, but I do think that he's been, as you say, he's been really everywhere for us on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. As you said, he likes to get into those gritty areas, and he's not afraid to get dirty on defense. And on offense, he's always pulling the strings. Like, he's really, and as you saw, Mourinho knew he needed to be introduced into the game. And I even tweeted, I think, earlier, like, I can't believe Oscar's not featuring in this match because he plays every game. And he is undeniably essential to that midfield. And I think we saw that how much we lacked it in both this game and again in the game in midweek against when Ake and Mikel were starting in the midfield.
Yeah.
It was just one of those games where I think like it's just calling for a more creative player, and he provides that. So it's good to see that he was introduced into this game as well.
Yeah, he does. And I don't really know if there's much more to touch on in this game. There wasn't. It was kind of a frustrating 3 points that it didn't seem like it should have came down to a goal in the 75th minute to win it for us, just because we had 18 total shots, and it seemed like we couldn't put them away, but it seemed like the game winner was only a matter of time before it came.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that there's just, as you said, it wasn't really that much of a game, but there are just a few talking points that I took away from it. I think, first of all, Costa coming back in this game, it was clear that he hadn't played 90 minutes in a good while, because he had a couple balls that he kind of just gave away on the dribble, and his first touch wasn't as clean. But on the goal, I was happy with his combination play with Fabregas in order to work out that, he drew Caulker with him, which freed up the space, and Yoon had to come over because Fabregas's first touch was directly, it was directly forward, and it really made that space open up for Oscar on the side before he could play him the ball in. But also in the second half, when we were playing with two strikers, as Drogba and Costa were both in together, which is a tactic that he showed again today at Maribor. It was partly that gave us the freedom to get the penalty, because Caulker and Dunn had to be honest and continue defending the two biggest players in the middle, and Felipe Luis, Terry, and Hazard worked a nice little triangle around the QPR players before Hazard darted into that space. So it's frustrating, I know, against teams like that we should have to be grinding out wins in the 75th minute, but I'm happy to see our tactics working.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. I would totally agree with that. And just kind of the last thing I just have is we had nearly twice as many passes as them. It's just something interesting I've noticed just over the season. I haven't really gone back and looked at the stats compared to last season to how many passes we're getting off, but it's kind of interesting to see that for a team that's set up to counterattack and perhaps play defensively against certain teams, just how many passes that we string together and whatnot.
Yeah, I think we've changed now this season. I think we've become far more of a forward thinking rather than a defensive thinking. I mean, even the way the distance between our defenders and our midfielders is a good sign. Like the way that Ivanovic and Luis pushed up the field, whereas last year we had, Cole was tucked in and so was Azpilicueta. But I think that one of the reasons or one of the problems that we were having is that on defense, or when we're transitioning and Ivanovic is high up the field as he likes to get, Cahill's being exposed, and I would really point him out as having played poorly, but it's not just him. It's the fact that this system really exposes his weaknesses. So, he has far more responsibility now guarding that right side of the field because Ivanovic finds himself playing almost as another midfielder, if not a winger. And I think that we saw that in the game against QPR. We saw that in the game against Maribor, especially when we're trying to go on transition from offense to defense. We get caught out, and it's not just Ivanovic. Luis and Azpilicueta does a very good job of getting back, and Luis does too. But Ivanovic, I find, has a tendency to stay forward. You'll find him sometimes in the center of the box. Sometimes he'll be on the wing taking crosses, and it's good to our benefit when it works. But a lot of the times, teams are catching us out on that side, and I think it's something that we need to work on. Yeah,
I would totally agree with that. So just to transition into today's game, I kind of want to go back to the Oscar thing a little bit. When I saw the lineup for today's game, I like Willian in the Cameral. He's a nice player there, but Schürrle, I'm not really sure what's wrong. What's happened with Schürrle?
I'm so sick of Schürrle. I'm sorry. I'm not. And honestly, people are going to probably call me out for this and say I'm an idiot, but his strengths are not they're not being played to, or he's not having the sense in game to play to his strengths, because I feel like he's best when he's making runs in behind, when he's being a dangerous on the counter time player. But I feel like his defensive capabilities are lacking, and he doesn't work well he doesn't have the understanding that Willian has. Not that, the three musketeers of Hazard and Oscar and Fabregas, Willian himself can fit in there and interchange well with them, whereas Schürrle, I find, seems to be just on the fringe and doesn't link well the way that I would want him to. But yeah. It's just so funny watching him sky balls over the top and get called offsides when he can see down the line, and it's just he needs to just somehow find his feet, and he's not doing so.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think he needs to find it fast. I mean, the transfer window opens less than 60 days from now, so I could see a realistic possibility of him leaving in January or being shipped out or whatever if things don't turn around, because like you said, he just doesn't seem to fit in. Our lineup and the tactics that we play just don't seem to fit to his strengths, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not to say that Schürrle is a bad player or anything, because he's not. He's a nice player, but I just don't think he's the right player. And I didn't really even. If I wouldn't have looked at the lineup, I would have had no idea that Schürrle was even in the lineup until he missed that sitter when he went offside.
I'm pretty sure I tweeted at you. I asked if Schürrle was on the field or if he was even playing or something. I think that it's just, he's either absent or he's scoring goals against Manchester City. I think that's the last thing he did, isn't it? The game at City when he scored on the counter.
Yeah, I don't think he's had an assist or anything since then. I think it was just that goal against City was the last real thing, and even it wasn't as Hazard called them Strawberry Town. Was it Bolton that we played before that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was Bolton.
Whoever it was that we played before Shrewsbury, he got a run out on the left side, and he was just not very good. He had time and space with the ball, and he couldn't do anything of it. He was constantly firing over the net. I prefer Willian out on the right side. I do like Willian in the cam role, though. If Oscar's not going to be there, I think Oscar's the right guy for it, and perhaps that could have just been to give him some rest ahead of the Liverpool game this weekend. But I don't know. I think that Willian, he sort of has the work rate of Oscar, so I guess it kind of fits in when he plays the cam role for us. That it's almost like having a mold of Oscar play.
Yeah, he's willing to play defensively as well. He gets back, he gets his challenges in. I saw him playing, literally on the line with Felipe Luis at one point, and he dribbled out of the back and worked a good counter. He's like you're saying, a very good mold of Oscar. He does the work on both sides of the ball. So, but Schürrle, he's not necessarily a Mata where he's not willing to work hard or he wants to be played at his preferred position, because I think that's where he can excel, on the wing and running in behind. But he's lacking something that I did see early in the season. I thought he was playing very well, and it was as a friend of mine wrote on Chelsea Index. My friend Mark, he wrote a couple of articles. One of them early in the season, and one of them a couple of weeks ago. Saying Schürrle versus Willian, who's the better winger for us, and it's undeniably Willian now. But at the start of the season, it wouldn't necessarily have been so easy to call. So I think that he could be good enough in that position for how we need him to play. I just think he needs to figure it out. Yeah.
I don't know where the Schürrle of the beginning of the season went. Perhaps he was riding off of the success that he had at the World Cup, because he was a very very nice player for Germany at the World Cup, and I don't know if it's just kind of his form from the World Cup kind of ran into the season. I don't really know what it was, but like you said, I feel like he's missing something with when he's in the lineup, and like you said, he's made it clear that Willian is the guy on the right side for the time being, at least, and that's who Jose rates over Schürrle, or that's who Jose rates for the starting 11. Yeah. And after the Shrewsbury game, when Mourinho made the comments about how the players are making it easy for him to make the lineup, and I think that was sort of aimed at Schürrle, guys like Schürrle and Salah, that you guys are getting more opportunities than guys like say Nathan Aki or even Kurt Zouma, and you guys have more experience than them, but you're just not making the decision tough because you're not playing hard, or you're not finishing chances, or whatever the case may be. It's different from player to player.
Yeah, and I think that's a very accurate statement to say that when he was saying, I know who, it's very easy for me to pick a team. I think it's also a shot at those players who aren't performing at their highest level, who aren't showing him something in the training ground and proving themselves to be worth it. So, yeah, that's definitely what I think he means as well. And I think that it speaks to his philosophy as a coach, really, as a manager.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. I would agree with that. I think the next thing that I want to talk about is Hazard. I think that I think him and Zuma had the biggest impact on this game. I felt that Zuma, he had a couple minor things defensively that just little nitpicky type things, but other than that, I thought that Zuma had a solid game. But Hazard, he almost seemed like the only player with life today, and that he was one of the few that was actually going at Maribor, that was actually posing as a threat.
Yeah, you couldn't be more right. He completed 14 of 16 take-ons, and he was literally the only player who looked like he had any spark. I could not agree more.
Yeah, and I mean Drogba, he didn't have a bad game. He's been in a phenomenal form with 3 goals in 3 games leading into this one.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Drogba particularly had a bad game, but Willian, he was solid. The other guys, Czech, Ivanovic, Luis, I thought Luis did pretty well today. Matic, not too bad. I thought that Cesc didn't play very well. I don't really know what it was, but I just don't think he had a very good game.
Yeah, I think that they did a good job of playing two of their two of their midfielders in a more advanced role, because as Cesc likes to sit and collect the ball from Matic and then look up. So I think that they did a good job of defending that, and I think that it was also very sluggish by the entire team. He didn't have much in front of him besides just hoofing it. And
and there was early on in the game there was a pass that he made to Drogba that was like the Costa goal against Arsenal, where he just made a phenomenal chip over the top, and I can't remember exactly what happened, if Drogba actually got a shot off. I don't think he did. I think the defender ended up taking it off of him.
Yeah, no, I remember exactly what you're talking about, and that's kind of the MO, really. If Matic or someone can get the ball to him immediately after making a defensive tackle, and Fabregas's head is immediately up and he's looking over the top to Costa or whoever it may be. In this situation, it was Drogba. But I know what you're talking about. That's his immediate thought. Like, can I get this? Can I turn this into a counter?
Yeah.
I like that about him.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. And just to kind of get back to the Hazard thing, he had a very, very nice game. But the frustrating thing that it was a problem again was his lack of finishing ability.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. The one where he was one-on-one with the goalie and should have finished, and it was a great move. Oscar, as we said, provided that spark when he entered the game, and he worked a good 1-2 with Hazard, and Hazard was in with one-on-one with the goalie and hit it right at him, as he did with the penalty he took in the 85th minute. I mean, I don't understand I understand his technique when he shoots his penalties, but I think that he's taking that to his actual shooting in game, like during the run of play, instead of having it be a spot kick. And I think he should just focus on his finishing. And I know that that's one aspect of his game that people always say is what keeps him from being a great player. But I feel like he could have so many more goals if he just focused on finishing those little chances, because as we saw against De Gea, as we saw with the penalty, these are professional players should be finishing these. So
yeah, absolutely. And Hazard, he has 5 goals on the season. I'm trying to remember how many of them were penalty kicks. I know he had one early in the year. I think it was in the Everton game where he cut in and kind of took a deflection.
Yeah, it was Howard.
Yeah, it was sort of kicked in the middle of the goal, and it more or less wouldn't have gone in had it not taken a deflection. I can't remember off the top of my head how many penalty kicks it was, but yeah, I mean, the penalty kick was frustrating. I mean, I know that that's Hazard's style, and I'm not gonna say that Hazard needs to change up his style, but I think I would agree that it just seems that whatever mentality it is that Hazard takes into his penalty kicks, he kind of takes it into his into the run of play, and I don't. he had a shot with his left foot that from outside the box that was nice. That the goalie had to he made the goalie work for it, and the goalie had to dive and punch it out. But other than that, I don't think he had any shots that weren't straight at the goalkeeper today.
He had one other. Yeah, he worked his defender on one, and he hit it right at the goalie. So I mean, I would also say it's a similar problem that Willian has, even though apparently Mourinho's been specifically making sure he works on his shooting. But I think that those players need to contribute. If as Costa has said himself, I'm not going to score in every game. So if those players aren't contributing, we can't just depend on. I mean, Drogba, even though he's in fine form, we're not going to be able to rely on him to score in every game either. So
exactly,
goals have to come from somewhere, and they should be coming from our most decisive and attacking players.
Yes, yep, and I would totally agree with that. And with the injuries that we have, we can't rely on, or I shouldn't say rely. We can't depend on a striker getting a goal every game. I mean, sooner or later, we're going to have to start getting goals from the midfield.
And from the defenders. I mean, everybody has to contribute,
Yeah, even that. I mean, Zuma had, off of a corner kick fairly early in the game, he had pretty much a free header, and he headed it wide.
Oh, yeah, he nicked the post, I think.
Yeah, I think I believe it nicked the post and then hit the whatever the post is in behind that's holding up the net or whatever.
The stand.
But I mean the goal that we allowed today was kind of I don't really know. I haven't really figured out how I feel about that goal.
All right. I have to say something about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so this is exactly what I was saying from the QPR game. This is and 6 Second Savage, guys, get out there, follow him, Vine, Twitter. I just made a Vine about it recently, and it's our defense clearing balls poorly or just hard balls to clear that end up going right to the top of the box. And our midfield should be back. And the same thing happened against Manchester United. The same thing happened against QPR. Courtois punched the ball out. It landed at the feet of Fair. He one-timed it. And, I mean, to his credit, Charlie Austin scored an amazing goal. That flick,
yeah.
That flick was awesome. But I'm just saying, who's on Fair? Fair's in 10 yards of space. He's in acres of space. No one's running out to get him, and no one's crashing on him from the midfield. So the same thing happened today against Maribor. I mean, there was a great cross. Zuma heads it. I don't think he could have done any better than he did. It just so happened to fall at the feet of Ibrahimi, probably their best technical player. And Felipe Luis is jogging out at him. I mean, break your neck to get out to that ball. You know that there's no one else covering him. But the thing is that's the same problem we had. Ibrahimi's in 10 yards of space. No one's guarding him. No one's crashing on him from the midfield. No one's coming back to track. And then those types of plays, better teams are going to expose us. And just so happened he scored an amazing goal, but a better team would score as well. So I think that's a worry for us. And I think that we're having these silly little lapses, and I call it the November fever because Chelsea somehow has these problems in November. But it's really, I'm just kind of worried that our mentality there is not necessarily in the right place. We need to be worrying less about scoring it and more about not conceding.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give credit to Ibrahimi for scoring that. That it was a beautiful shot. I mean, I don't really know that even if Cech knew that that's where the shot was going, if Cech was going to save it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, that was a absolute cracker of a shot. But I think what concerns me, two things about this, aside from the lack of actually clearing the ball out, is that I don't know who was on the left side at the time. I'd have to go back and watch the goal again on the DVR, but whoever was playing on the left wing at the time, I don't know where they were at, whether it was Hazard or whoever it was, but I don't know where they were that they weren't out marking. And the second thing was just that the defense was just so compacted into the center of the box. And like you said, like he had so much time. He could have ate a sandwich, before he had and still had plenty of time to get the shot off.
Yeah,
there was no sense of urgency whenever he got the ball. Like exactly. No one was like, "Oh shit, someone needs to get out of there on him."
Anyone get out? Like, and Felipe Luis is running. They teach you to put your hands behind your back and run at the defender so you don't get a handball call on you. He's doing one of those little jigs out there with his hand behind his back. And come on, like obviously I understand you're trying to not concede a penalty, but the guy has a free shot on the corner of the 18. He's clearly a left footer. He's going to bend that in, and every player dreams of that shot. The fact that, you know what I mean? Like, whether you're playing FIFA or it's in real life, every player dreams of that shot where you can either hit RB or just curl it with the inside of your boot and put it top corner. And he postage stamped it. I mean, I honestly don't think you could have had a more inviting opportunity. And Felipe Luis is like, sure, hit it, man. Go ahead. I'm gonna defend. That's that kind of a play. As I said last week, it's sixth grade defending, man. The ball's dropping in the box and the six getting scored. That United goal, that's garbage. This is the same kind of thing. Mourinho probably ripped him a new one when he got on the bus or whenever they talked in the dressing room, because that kind of stuff, good teams don't allow that kind of stuff to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm watching a GIF play on a loop here of it, and Luis, he pinched in for almost no reason at all, because Terry and Zuma were covering the guy right in front of goal, and then Matic had the other guy covered, and Luis was pinching in to cover that guy, and that left Ibrahimi on the far side wide open, and he just jogged out there after him. Like, he had no sense of urgency to run out after him.
All right, here's what I think is going on. Felipe Luis, as you said, he cuts in, and the philosophy of our back four, as I've seen in the games I've watched, is when the ball is coming down, say, for example, the ball is coming down Ivanovic's side, and Ivanovic is playing him, and the guy is either near to crossing or may cross, Felipe Luis immediately cuts in and plays as if he's a center back. And I watched this really good special on Monday Night Football, and they break it down how Chelsea's back four is essentially trying to play as if they're a back three with one player cutting into the middle, and that's how it goes. If the ball's on the opposite side of the field, Ivanovic would cut in. So to his credit, I understand that Felipe Luis cut in because he's probably just naturally learned that that's what he has to do there, and he probably expected Hazard to come back and play at the top of the box or to defend the player there. So I think that he might not be at fault, but when the ball finally does get to that player and he realizes that it's time to defend, he can't be half-passing it. So
Exactly. And I feel that he didn't really take the best angle at it. I honestly don't know if Ibrahimi is left-footed or not. I'll throw that out right now. If he's right-footed, FIFA needs to give him a 5-star weak foot, because that shot's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, no, he needs top of the line with that.
Yeah, but I don't know why Luis didn't take an angle to cut off. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, why didn't Luis play it so that it would force him to cut down towards the byline instead of giving him an opportunity to sort of cut in?
Instead of giving him the dream shot. I mean, I don't know. I think that was just a lapse in judgment, and it's not that I don't rate Luis, because I think he's a phenomenal defender, and he showed that he has an instinct for when to cut in and make the jab. But on that kind of a play, and on crosses in general, I've seen that he's kind of lost.
Yeah, and this is just something that I just now kind of thought of, is just how important Azpilicueta is to this team. Just the few things I've noticed. I mean, Luis he's gotten his runs out lately just because of the Azpilicueta suspension, which is unrelated to today's game. But Luis, he's got to play the past four games, I believe.
Yeah, Mourinho prefers him in the Champions League, and he also got to play the Cup and also the Premier League. So
yeah, and it's just something kind of interesting. I haven't really looked at the numbers to see what the goals were like. How many have come off of Luis's left side compared to when Dave plays on the left. But it's just I think that Azpilicueta is. I don't see a reason why he won't get the start this weekend against Liverpool.
Yeah.
But yeah, just something random.
Just something I wanted to say as well that also links into that. There's the understanding between players that really needs to be developed. So, Hazard for the last 18 months, and they've been working a very good relationship. He knows when to overlap. He just assumes he's there. They had that kind of understanding that Hazard had worked out with Cole when he was there as well, and similarly for Oscar on the right side with Ivanovic when he was playing out wide. But this year, if you watched in the games recently, in QPR and again in Maribor when he came on, Felipe Luis is immediately looking for Diego Costa. You know, that understanding he had with him at Atletico, he looks at, like, his first thought when he gets the ball is, can I find Costa or do I go lateral or can I play backwards? But similarly, he doesn't have the understanding on defense that he would have necessarily with the players who are used to playing with Azpilicueta. Like, I think Azpilicueta would have gone out and met that ball. I think that also he would have either worked out with Hazard or he would have made sure that he was making up for Hazard's not being there. I think that there's just a different understanding between them. So it's worth noting that maybe he just has to find his feet amongst the players as well, not just, for his own game.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's not really something that I took into consideration before. But yeah, that's a very good point. Azpilicueta played not all of last season, but he pretty much all of the second half last season, beside Terry and Cahill. So yeah, that's a very good point. And you can tell going forward that Luis's his first instinct is to look for Costa just because of the chemistry that they built from their time in Atletico.
Exactly.
I guess the only other thing that I have is just the game seemed dreadful after Maribor went up. It was like I was almost disinterested. I think at times I still feel like last season, whenever we would go down, I just felt that there was no chance that we were going to come back and tie it.
Yeah.
This game the chances were there, and then I'm just kind of watching Montic's equalizer here. First, I think it's comical that the guy that was marking the near post is crying for offside when Montic tapped it in.
Yeah, he's standing on the...
Yeah.
I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah. And then the other thing is just Montic just... There was, like, no... It was almost like Oscar's goal against QPR. There was, like... Well, Oscar celebrated, but as far as the team is concerned, it was like there was almost no celebration. It was like... they were just kind of like, it's about goddamn time that that we scored. So yeah, that's I don't know, just kind of interesting thought that I had. I mean, Mourinho, it looked like after Oscar scored in the QPR game, it looked like he might have dropped the F-bomb or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's just Mourinho hasn't been exactly pleased with his team's performances the past two games, and very good reason, just because this Maribor team, just 2 weeks ago, we beat them 6-0. I know it was at home, and it was a completely different atmosphere that we were going into, but they didn't put forth a very good effort, in my opinion, and Mourinho he needs them to be sharp, especially with as many key guys that we had in there today, like Montic, Fabregas, Hazard, Willian, Terry. That they need to be sharp ahead of this game on Saturday. And,
I agree.
I think perhaps maybe today's result was maybe a wake up call. Just to kind of get the players to realize we can't just go out there and just expect to win every day just because we're one of the top 5 clubs in the world.
I think it's worth noting that we're going into the game on Saturday still rather confident. Liverpool have not been firing on all cylinders, coming off two losses rather, both in the league and in the Champions League, and don't necessarily have the best home form. So I think that Mourinho knows he can, with the players that he has, 3 days from now they'll be fit enough to compete. But if it's a question of grit or being able to ride this, whatever this is, this kind of rough patch, I think it's something we can do. I think the players we have and the depth we have will allow us to do so. But I do think that there's this November bug we get where we kind of go into this either cruise control / slump mode where we feel like we can grind out results, and we're not going to be able to do that against every team. So I guess this is the question I had for you. With our response to conceding and in both games, not just this most recent, how do you think we responded to the goals? Are you pleased with the way we've reacted? Both with Mourinho's substitutions, as they've been quick and I guess you could call them effective, and with our just form on the field?
I've this one particularly wasn't. These substitutions today that I want to mention. Just they came before the goal. They came at halftime. So Mourinho obviously wasn't happy with how his team performed in the first half. But I thought it was interesting that he brought on the first two subs at halftime. One was for Schürrle, which I totally understand that. The other one I wasn't really sure of was just Willian. Just with the way that Maribor was coming at us, I didn't quite understand the point of if you're going to make both subs, I don't understand why he didn't bring on Costa for Drogba, and especially after Drogba had that injury scare in the first half, and why he just didn't bring Oscar on for Schürrle and then push Willian out to the right.
Yeah, that has to do with the way he went with last weekend too. With QPR, he took Willian off for Costa. I mean, not for Costa. He took Willian off for Drogba. So we played with the two-striker system as well at the weekend. So I mean, it's just I don't know if Willian's just the whipping boy or what, but
yeah. And I was curious of this. I tweeted about it earlier, and I did I digged it up and looked through the games and stuff. How many goals we've scored with Drogba and Costa on the field at the same time, and actually the last two games we've scored goals with Costa and Drogba on the field. Just because I've never particularly been a fan of having both of them out there at the same time. I don't really particularly have a reason for it. I just feel that we just haven't really looked. I don't feel that we've looked as good with both of them out on the field at the same time, and I don't see how our. Well, you could see today how the lineup changed, but just in general, going through the past games in the past where both of them were on the field at the same time, it just doesn't seem. I don't know. The two-striker thing, I guess, is just kind of weird, is what I'm getting to. And I guess we sort of morphed into. I guess it was like a 3-5-2 today, sort of, after Ramirez came on.
Yeah, I think it was more of a 3-4-3. But I mean, I understand what you're saying with the two-striker system. How it's it's almost like a desperate move. But
yeah, and it just
some teams can't take it.
Yeah. Right, and that's I think it was the QPR game. The announcers, they mentioned about how was it Drogba that came on partway through the game? Because Costa played the full game.
Yeah, Drogba came on for Willian.
Yeah, Drogba came on for Willian, and he mentioned about how it would kind of throw the defenders off because they're so used to defending just Drogba the entire game, or just Costa the entire game.
Exactly. And that's how. I mean, I think that did affect QPR because, as I said earlier, when Cocker and Dunn were occupied with both Drogba and Costa, they couldn't go help Isla on the side, and Hazard was able to attack him, which eventually led to that penalty. But also in this game, I can't say it didn't work with our 3-4-3 system because we worked that. Hazard should have scored that goal that he worked with Oscar, and he also should have scored the penalty that he worked out. So I mean, we weren't unthreatening when we worked into our other formation. And I kind of got to hand it to Mourinho for knowing how to get at them, because up until then we hadn't had much success working just the 4-2-3-1. So for those last 15-20 minutes when we had switched formation and made some kind of drastic changes in the midfield, we were more threatening and we were working out more chances. So I think that there's something to be said about the formation that we tried and about having two strikers on the field and forcing the defense to be really a little more honest, and that allows the wingers to really attack the space that's freed up. So I can't say I don't like it, but I really do understand what you're saying when you say it's like kind of a desperate move.
Yeah, it almost seems, I mean, desperate. I think that's the best word to try and describe it. And I would agree with you though that Maribor, they had a couple attacking threats after we sort of switched into the three in the back formation when Ramirez come on. But I feel that their threats, I guess you could say, they were to a lesser magnitude with three guys in the back rather than in the first half. But it'll be interesting going forward to see how Mourinho uses that to his advantage, because Ivanovic used to play center back, so I mean, it's not like this team isn't built to be able to play with three guys in the back. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it game in and game out. But they have the personnel that they could do it. They have plenty of central midfielders, and their depth at center back isn't exactly astonishing. But I think that we were more of an attacking threat when we switched to it, and there were a couple things like Fabregas. He ended up getting in behind, and the goal should have been allowed, but they called it back after they called offside on
That's
Fabregas.
clearly onside.
Yeah, so I think it's perhaps some innovative. Well, I don't want to say innovative because it's not like Mourinho's making a new formation for the squad, but I think for Chelsea it's innovative. It's an innovative way of setting your. I can't think of I'm drawing a blank of the word that I'm trying to look for here. But basically, reacting to the goal that is when you face a deficit. It's an innovative way for Chelsea to look at it. Just because it's not really anything that someone's seen from our squad.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it shows that he's working on new things in the training ground and that players are being responsive to it. So there's definitely the belief, the want, the desire to win and win as a team. And that above all, that's most important. So
yeah,
I'm pleased with that.
Yeah. The last thing that I have on the game, and then you can have the floor after that if there's any other closing thoughts that you have. I honestly didn't think that the officiating was that bad today. I thought that the ref let both teams get away with a good bit. I thought that did Montic didn't get a card today, did he?
I'm not sure. I don't think he did. I think he pled his way out of it, but
yeah, Luis was our only yellow card today.
I'm not so sure. I think Luis was the only one.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here. That they had 3 yellow card, or that Maribor had 3, and we just had the one Luis there early on. But I thought that Montic got away with a good bit. I think that Montic probably could have had a yellow card today. But overall, I don't really think the officiating was terrible. A lot of Chelsea fans on Twitter complained about it after the game, but I really just don't think it was that bad. Aside the offside call on Fabregas, that was awful.
Yeah, that was terrible.
I felt that Oscar probably should have gotten the call for a penalty kick on the one play. I don't know if you remember. I think he had his back to the defender, and he got the ball and he flicked it past him. He turned and flicked it past and went to run on, and the defender slid in and caught him, and he went down. And I think the ball rolled out of bounds for a goal kick or something. But I felt that should have been a penalty kick. But outside of those two, I really just don't think the officiating was bad.
Yeah, I mean, you can't rely on officiating, as we said in the last podcast. We shouldn't be complaining about those things because your play should be good enough so you don't have to worry about it. But
right,
it's something to be said where you can clearly see those mistakes, and I guess that it's always going to be a complaint when you don't win. So
right, yeah, and that's perhaps that might be what it's kind of sounding like it's coming out of my mouth right now, but. It is just kind of frustrating. The cost of goal should have been allowed. Would Hazard have converted on the penalty kick if it was called? Perhaps not, but it kind of sucks sometimes just looking back, losing a game like that. But at the same time, just kind of going back to the wake up call thing, I don't really think that our team's performance today was worthy of 3 points. Honestly. I think that it was just kind of after we went down, we finally seemed to show a sense of urgency, and we had a couple chances on goal that we just didn't convert, and eventually we did off the corner kick. But I thought Maribor, fair play to them, they had a phenomenal performance today. They definitely deserved at least 1 point, and you could perhaps look at this as 2 points dropped from Maribor, but. Regardless of the game 2 weeks ago, that wasn't we totally dominated that game, but I don't really think it was quite as far apart as the scoreline said. But I mean, neither of the other two teams in the group beat Maribor, so I mean, I think it just goes to show that there's no pushover in Champions League, and I know that we've said that before, but this game just kind of proves it. You can't, just because you went out 2 weeks ago and handily beat them. There's no guaranteed victory.
Exactly. It's definitely the truth with the Champions League. So, but the only real thing I wanted to touch on was that I can't get enough of Nemanja Matic. He's getting us out of jams left and right, scoring goals that we need, down like in times of need. The header he scored when we were on the road at Sporting to get us that win, and also this equalizer on set pieces. I mean, I can't say enough about him. He's everywhere, and we really, really needed a player like him.
Yeah, I think I would like to now. Excuse me. I would like to take back my comment about Oscar being the most underrated player on the squad, because I would like to give that to Matic, because I would totally agree with that. This team is it's crazy how much of a difference you can see in this team. And even last year, we mentioned this before, that last year you could just tell how much we missed Matic in the Champions League, and it's just the number of minutes he can play he can play every game, the full 90. And he comes through when we need it. He makes the tackle that we need. Today there were times where after we switched to the three guys in the back that Maribor would have had numbers, but Matic was there to just break the play up in the middle of the field and get the ball back up in Chelsea's direction.
Yeah, I mean, so many times during the game, he's the person who breaks up the play, immediately looks to transition. And I love how he's so now trained to get his head up and immediately find Fabregas, because he knows that the way he likes to play is to be able to quickly play on the break and find the person in transition. So they've obviously worked a good understanding, and Matic just seems to fit in very well there. And I'm sure Terry and Cahill love him. I remember reading a tweet last year, I don't know who by, but it said, at night, Nemanja Matic stands guard at John Terry and Gary Cahill's bedroom door. And it's so true. It's just that he's always there. Whether he's playing in front of Cahill and Terry, or Zuma and Terry, or whoever, Christensen, it doesn't matter. He's consistent. He knows his job. He seems calm on the ball and comfortable. Like, he knows his strong points, and he's not afraid to foul and break up play, and yet somehow he escapes yellow cards like he did today. But he's just a very intelligent player in that position, and I could not be happier that we have him. Yeah,
I think he is the safest player on this team, and just to explain that, I mean that whenever someone needs to find someone to pass the ball to, Matic just always seems to be there. There was a point in the game today where I think it was Hazard had the ball out on the left side. It was near the edge of the box. Hazard didn't really have any room to run, but Maribor was just packed in tight in their 18-yard box, and there was so much space outside the 18, and Matic he was there for Hazard. That was really the only pass Hazard could have made, unless he tried to whip some type of crazy cross in. But and then any time that we have, when we're passing it around the back or anything, and they're applying pressure on the back four, Matic he always seems to be an outlet whenever we need it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He's just such a well-rounded player, and also very versatile on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's all that I would like to say about the game today. It was it's frustrating to see when the chances were there that we could have won. Should we have won? I don't know, but 2 points dropped, but that's whatever. I mean, we can still. The next game we play Sporting, correct?
Our next Champions League match, I think, is against Sporting. No, hold on. Let me just be sure. We play...
It is not. It's against Schalke.
Yeah, we play in Germany, and then our last our last match is against Sporting on December 10th. So
yes, yeah. So
in Germany, or if we tie in Germany, I think we're in very good shape.
Yeah, if we tie, we should be through because we have 8 points. Schalke has 5, Sporting has 4, and Maribor now has 2, I believe.
It just so happens we're going to be facing our old friend Roberto Di Matteo.
I'm excited. I can't wait. Which we'll get to that in weeks, but that'll be exciting now.
That'll
be exciting to. Yeah, but that'll be exciting to get back to. So to sort of lead into the game ahead, the big game, our last game before another dreaded international break this Saturday, which I would like to apologize. I learned that I think it was the night before the QPR game. For anyone that listened to this and set their alarm early because I said the game started at 9, I apologize.
Yeah, they got an early start. They should actually thank you.
Yeah, that's true because they made sure that they were up early enough. For,
they got a good run out with Rebecca Lowe and the guys at Sport. So.
Exactly. I don't know who the morning game was that morning, but I apologize if it was something like Arsenal in the morning or no. I think that was the West Ham Man City game, wasn't it?
I think he was. That's actually not a bad match.
Yeah, I think that was because West Ham stole some points off the City. But so I would just my second apology of the show. The first one being for my cold last week. Second apology. If you perhaps wanted to sleep in a little bit until the game started at 11, I was never really good at math in school. So, but this Saturday, I can promise you, this one is at 7:45 kickoff. I'm not looking forward to that, but it's whatever. But Liverpool and Brendan Rodgers had some interesting things happen in their Real Madrid match. They didn't. They were certainly looking ahead to the weekend ahead with their game against Chelsea, and just kind of thought it was funny that the media, they wanted to know what Mourinho thought about it, and he kind of pushed it aside. He said if Liverpool decide to rest players when they play against European champions, that's a question for the Liverpool manager, not a question for me. But and then he went on to say that he doesn't speak about Liverpool, he speaks about himself. If one day I go to a game and I don't feel I can win, maybe I don't go. So a little bit of, it looked like he was just going to kind of brush it off, but a little dig at Brendan Rodgers before the game. But what are you looking to? What are you looking forward to going into this game?
I'm looking forward to probably a sending off. I feel like this is going to be a very charged up match just because of the whole history now. Not the history, but because of last season, the whole slip. I'm sure that plenty of Liverpool fans have had nightmares about that Demba Ba goal. And I don't know. I think there's just so much more to this game than people are really giving it credit. For the first thing, Liverpool have lost 2 games in the trot. They need to get this win. This is a very big game for them. They just lost to Real Madrid away from home, but this home return would be essentially, a good way to restart their season. And we need this win on the road, and we're likely to concede as we always do on the road. So we need to score goals, and that means we need our best players firing. And I know it's going to be a game that Liverpool are going to be playing physical. It's going to be chippy. There's going to be probably plenty of cards. We already have players who are up in the 3s for cards, and some of them I think might be on 4. But I think it's a game that Mourinho knows how to win, so I'm confident. I just think it's going to be gritty, and I can't imagine that it won't be gritty to the point of cautioning and or sending offs. So I think it's good that it's on a Saturday morning. I think that we're going to be up for it, and I think that Mourinho has the ability to inspire his team to do whatever is necessary. So it'll be a good game, and I'm pretty confident going into it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that I think it's good that a lot of our key guys have some rest going into this. I do think it'll be interesting to see if Fabregas plays. I honestly think Ramirez might get the start over Fabregas in this game.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
It's the guy. All right, this is something that sounds so silly that I used to laugh at it. I used to scoff at it, but it's kind of factual. Players who you acquire, especially in recent windows, they're playing the big marquee games. They're starting marquee games for the same reason that even though Di Maria wasn't in tip-top shape, he played against us and kind of got shut out by Ivanovic. Even though he wasn't in tip-top shape again from nursing that injury or that groin that people don't want to talk about, he faced Man City and he got shut down by Clichy. I mean, no offense to Clichy, but Di Maria is a world-class player. That's just one example. I think that players, not players, but clubs, there's a certain unspoken rule that people know that you play your marquee players in marquee games. But I think Balotelli will get the start. I think Rodgers will go for it. I think it's going to be a very big game. But I can't imagine that Fabregas won't be out there. I just can't.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't really. I honestly don't. I don't have any reasoning for that. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like I get the feeling that this just kind of a gut feeling that I think that Ramirez will get a run out. But nonetheless, though,
you're right. I think he will. I think he will get a run out. And I think that it's going to be to the detriment of Willian.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Today it kind of looked like Ramirez was going to sort of slot in as like a right midfielder when he was brought on.
Mm-hmm.
But just to sort of backtrack a little bit to your comments while you were talking about Liverpool's struggle and stuff, I was curious, when did Liverpool last win a game at home? And just take a gander if you haven't looked at it. Take a guess the last game or the last date that they won at home.
The last date that Liverpool won at home. Let me see. They tied Hull City, right?
Correct. That was their last home game, which was October 25th.
What was it? Did they beat? Was it West Brom?
It was West Brom, October 4th, over a month ago. Yes, over a month ago was their last home victory. They have played, Hull wasn't their last home game. Swansea was in the Capital One Cup. And, never mind. I take that back. They beat Swansea at home. I'm an idiot.
In the Premier League, they haven't won since October 4th.
Yeah, in the Premier League, they haven't won a home game since October 4th. But yeah, I mean, they haven't throughout the whole season. They just haven't had much of a good run of form. I do think that is in part due to playing Real Madrid 2 games recently. I mean, those are absolutely 2 tough games. But I agree with you. I don't think that Rodgers has a choice but to play Balotelli, regardless of how disastrous, bad, whatever word you want to throw in there that his run has been with Liverpool. I don't really think Rodgers has a choice because, like you said, you bring in guys, whether or not this was a move that was kind of forced on Rodgers to bring in Balotelli, but you bring in big-name players to play in big-name games, and I think that he doesn't really have a choice but to play Balotelli in this.
I agree.
He had Gerrard was on the bench today. Sterling was on the bench. I think they both ended up coming on, but
yeah, they played, but not for the full match.
Yeah, but as far as Chelsea's concerned, Willian, he only played 45 minutes. Oscar only played 45 minutes, so that's good. They'll both be fresh for the game over the weekend.
Yeah.
Costa, he only played 45, so I'm hoping he gets a full 90 out, and hopefully Del Bosque isn't going to be a douche over the international break, even though I'm sure he will be. But
how many minutes did Costa get?
Today he got 45 because he come on with Oscar at halftime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So and then Ramirez, he should. Yeah. Whether it's, I don't know. I feel dumb for saying that Ramirez might start, but like I said, that was just a gut feeling.
I don't think you're dumb for saying Ramirez might start. I think that he might start over Willian more than he would over Fabregas. I just think
I got you. Yeah,
offers that versatility that we can.
No, I could see that happening actually. But I think that overall, though, I think that the key guys that we need for this game are well rested. You should expect Azpilicueta to play left back. Ivanovic most likely at right back, and then Cahill should get back into the fold at center back, and then Courtois back in net. I just the Cahill thing. This is kind of backtracking all the way back to the beginning, but
yeah,
he's played a lot of minutes, but like you said, it's kind of scary how he's been exposed at times, just because we're more of an offensive team this season. So
yeah.
I sort of think that this season we're not necessarily playing to Cahill's strengths.
Exactly. And I mean, he's being forced to deal with a lot of what Ivanovic's leftovers are. I mean, it's kind of a big ask for him to cover really a half the field when Terry's covering a quarter and Felipe Luis and or Azpilicueta are covering a quarter.
Yeah,
like it's just so much of ground to cover, and he's not necessarily the best laterally. What do you call that? Not laterally, but front and back. Like he's not very good at turning and going, but his breaking speed is good. So I think that what we need out of Ivanovic is for him to either be more honest, or we need Matic to really slot over to that side and for Fabregas to be more dependable. I know that's not really going to happen, and that's no disrespect to Fabregas, but I would love it for Matic just to stay where he is and not have to compensate for Ivanovic as well. But he does that. He does end up doing that as well during the game sometimes. Like you'll see him playing as far over as a right back or as a center back. But I feel like for Ivanovic and Cahill to work well, Cahill needs to know that when Ivanovic goes up, his responsibility is either to stop that first outlet pass to the winger or to at least make a decision on whether or not he's going to drop with the rest of the line or go and meet the ball. Because those times that, like, I think you even tweeted about it, when he's just standing there and not advancing and just not meeting the ball, it really allows the rest of the team to break up and get into position to attack. So I think that's something Liverpool actually do pretty well, is when they go forward, they go forward in waves, and I'm interested to see how they'll do when we go forward and as they counter. But one thing I can take to heart is that their goals for is at 13, which is the same amount of goals that Swansea and Tottenham currently have in the table, as well as Hull City and West Brom. So we're at 26. We will score, I'm confident, and I'm pretty sure that it'll be, a more than a 1-0 or a 1-1. But I think that I'm not as worried as I have been in past seasons with Suarez. So
yeah, absolutely.
So it'll be good. I'm actually pretty confident going into the game. I just want to see how we'll deal with. I mean, they might throw out two strikers. They might throw out the diamond, but I think that Mourinho is prepared to deal with whatever Rodgers hands.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I feel that regardless of which wing Rodgers plans to play Sterling on, I honestly don't watch a ton of Liverpool, so I don't know if he plays more of the left or more of the right. But I feel that with Ivanovic and Azpilicueta at fullback, I think that we're very well equipped to shut down Sterling, just because Azpilicueta, he is... I think he's the best one-on-one defending fullback in the Premier League. So I'm not too worried if he plays on the right. And Ivanovic showed whenever we played Arsenal that he was able to shut down Alexis Sanchez, and Sanchez wasn't...
And Di Maria.
He wasn't... and Di Maria too, yeah. Even, to go into the Man United game. That, Ivanovic has the ability to... I know he kind of prefers to be sort of like a free flower, sort of, just to kind of come and go as he pleases on offense and defense, to say, but at the same time, he's able to just focus on one and just say, my team needs me to shut down whoever's playing left wing, so I'm just going to play defensively today. I'm not going to get forward and spring in crosses as often. And I think that you saw that when he was covering Sanchez and Di Maria.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good thing to have to. I don't think that they're going to want to have a one-on-one Sterling and Ivanovic. So I think that if they do play Sterling in their diamond, I think he'll play the either the right of the diamond and or he'll play the spear. But I think that they'll go out with 4-4-2 with the diamond and Gerrard holding. either Lucas or another defensive midfielder. So I don't even know if they play Joe Allen in that kind of a game. But Sterling, I think, will start on the right, or he'll be the center of the sphere. That could always be Coutinho or Lallana, but Balotelli will definitely be in the game. So
yeah, I would agree.
It's going to be an interesting game. I think that we're coming in favorites, which I think is good, and I also think it's dangerous for them. I like the fact that their fans are going to be apprehensive. You know, they're going to be booing us. They're going to be worried. Costa's going to have a great game because he loves this kind of atmosphere.
Yes.
You know, he loves that. He loves it.
Yeah, and that was my next point, was that I cannot wait to watch Costa and Skirtle go at it.
The Costa versus Skirtle show. It's going to be an absolute brawl, and I think that Skirtle knows that. I think that watching or knowing that both teams have players who don't necessarily like to be messed with, I think that Terry and Cahill are going to be all over Balotelli, and I think that Skirtle is going to be just niggling at Costa the entire game, just hoping that he'll lose his cool.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of in the City game, the Costa and company matchup. That was pretty fun to watch, and it was like early on in the game. I think it was less than 10 minutes. Costa kind of came into the back of company and sort of nicked him, and he went down, and they got up and patted each other on the back, and it was like, all right, it's time to go to war. So I think
was more of a gentleman's battle. I think that was great to see.
Yeah.
I think this might be a little different. I think that Skirtle, not that he's a dirty player, but he's reputation for holding his own. And I think Costa just has a reputation of not really caring about players who are like that. He's gonna do whatever he wants to do, and I think that he has that kind of mentality. Like he's up for those kind of gritty battles, and I know that he's gonna get. I mean, not that I know that, but I'm sensing that he's gonna get a real striker's poacher's finish, like a very gritty goal that is gonna come from his desire and his want to get on the end of something. So I really feel like we're going in there with our heads held up. And it's going to be a great battle on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. I think that Skirtle, perhaps not as douchey, but perhaps the Pepe of the Premier League. And just last season I watched a couple Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid games, and it was fun to see Costa and Pepe, two kind of like-minded players, go at each other for 90 minutes. So yeah, I think that Costa Skirtle, that's going to be pretty fun. It'll be interesting to see if Lovren's going to be as invisible as he's been pretty much all season. Glenn Johnson, he ought to have fun marking Hazard, so that should be interesting.
I'm not sure if they're going to start Glenn Johnson or if they're going to try to Moreno over and hope that he can shield him or shepherd him inside, rather. Because, frankly, a one-on-one with Hazard and Lovren or a one-on-one with Hazard and Skirtle is not going to be any question of who the winner is. So I feel like they're going to try to force him to go out wide and then collapse on him near the goal line. I'm not really sure exactly who it was, but it was Villa. Villa tried doing that, and they were unsuccessful just because their players were not as of quality. But I think that might be an easier tactic for a team like Liverpool. Hazard's definitely going to be the point of scrutiny for them for probably the entire match. And I think we're going to use that to our favor because we have far more strengths than just him. So it's good that they're most likely planning for a lot of protection down their right side, and also at the same time worrying about Costa in the middle and probably the threat of Oscar. I don't know who's going to sit, because if it's Gerrard sitting in the center midfield in the low diamond, Oscar's going to have a field day.
Yeah.
I hope it is. Obviously, as a Chelsea fan, we hope it's Gerrard. But
yeah, absolutely.
It's most likely going to be Lucas, and Gerrard will play either off of him, so they'll play like an extended 4-4-2, or Gerrard may not even start. So who knows? I mean, the way that things are going at Liverpool right now, I think that Brendan Rodgers, for his own sake and for the sake of his job and for the sake of the team, really, to have some kind of respite or some comeback, as you might say, I think they need to have an impressive showing. And they're playing at home. And I would love to just make things worse by winning a 2-0 comprehensive victory. But I'm feeling more of a gritty game here. I think that Liverpool are going to be dangerous. They're going to have the entirety of the Kop behind them. And I'm not saying we don't do well on the road, but we do concede. So
I really hope that just because NBC makes Liverpool games almost unbearable.
I know.
I don't know what it is between the two, but it's just anytime Liverpool is on or they have a commercial or anything, I can't look at any sharps that I have near me.
Even the commercial for Chelsea Liverpool is just like You'll Never Walk Alone. And it's like, I get it, guys. Like, it's cool. They sing. It's awesome. Like, it's great tradition. I'm pumped for them. But we're the better team. We're the team on top, How about some showcase of us? Maybe because it's at Anfield. Maybe when the reverse game comes, they're going to focus on Chelsea. But I don't know. We just don't get the same kind of media love as them at Manchester United. And yes, I'm whining for all of you listening.
Yeah, no, but I totally get that though. But I think it's just something that I've noticed I think it's kind of funny is that like you said, we don't get the publicity yet. Every week we're on NBC Sports. Whatever time we play, we're on NBC Sports. And Arsenal, Liverpool, those teams, they get the shit end of the stick. They get on NBC Sports Live Extra, and I just think that's kind of funny, just because they hype up all these other teams and just some of a small portion of other fan bases say about how no one cares about Chelsea and blah 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 blah. But regardless of us not having much of a media presence, I think NBC knows that. Regardless of what team you're a fan of, if your team's not playing, you would like to watch Chelsea play. So just something I've noticed throughout the weeks that I just think it's just kind of funny that week in, week out, we are constantly on TV. I haven't had any trouble this season finding our game.
I've noticed on World Soccer Talk, and if everybody wants to go check that out, worldsoccertalk.com has a listing of public and viewable matches for those soccer enthusiasts. You can go and check out the games that are going to be on prime time, and Chelsea have all but two. So it's not like we don't get the love on TV. People obviously know we're going to be putting out good matches and they're quality players. So there's no denying that, but we just don't seem to get the kind of consideration when it comes to the favoring of one team or the other. So I get that, and it's fine. I'm cool with being an underdog. So it is what it is. So I guess we'll just go into the game with heads held high and just assume. But every week when people look at the leaderboard, and even after next week, even if we don't win, we're still going to be top. So people need to just, I guess, respect the Chelsea. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. And I think it's just kind of regardless of how dominant our team has been this season, we, like you said, we still just kind of have that underdog vibe to us, just because you don't see us in commercials, and it's just we don't have a big media presence here in the States. So I think that their lack of coverage, that's whatever. But I expect to see some coverage at the end of the season on match day 38 when we're still at the top.
Yeah, you'll see all the coverage we need. All the compilations. That's the thing, man. That's really the only thing that matters. And I know that NBC did change their match of the day format so that they have the shed end right there. As soon as the credits start rolling up, there's the Chelsea Football Club shed end. So it's pretty cool that they have that little bit of love. But most of the talk is usually about Liverpool United or Liverpool's slump, and Tottenham gets no love either, but Arsenal is always in the front headlines too, even though they're playing like crap and sitting in fourth as they love to do. So, I don't know. I'd love it if we got a little bit of some positive scrutiny, but it's fine. I'll be underdogs all day as long as we keep winning.
Exactly. At the end of the day, the result is all that matters.
Exactly.
So, do you have anything else just to cap off the episode here?
No, just looking forward to the match on Saturday, and I hope that everybody knows that it's now with the clocks turned back, it's going to be 7:45 a.m. It's an early wake up, so I hope all Chelsea fans are ready to go early, bright and early.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, that's a wrap. You can follow the Carefree Blues podcast at carefreeblues_ on Twitter. Me and Amadi, we have a a few things in the works for that account to kind of try and spice things up, spice up the follower count and whatnot, and just kind of make things fun for the viewers and whatnot. So if you're listening to this and have a Twitter account, stop what you're doing, pause the podcast, and go follow at @CarefreeBlues_ on Twitter. You can find me at KBJelly on Twitter and everything soccer on the Soccer Yanks website at www.socceryanks.com, and everything Carefree Blues at socceryanks.com/carefreeblues. Amadi, share with the crowd, the good listeners, where they can find you.
You can catch me over on Twitter at Amadoit. That's AMADOIT. You can also follow me over at 6 Second Savage on Vine and on Twitter. That's the number 6 and then Second Savage written out. I also do writing for ChelseaIndex.com. It's a Chelsea-specific site. That's tactics, reviews, stats, what have you, everything Chelsea. And you can also find my writings and weekly match team of the week for WorldSoccerTalk.com.
So yeah, just Amadi Peep. It's all he does is spew out content, and there's almost daily you can find his work all over the interwebs, whether it be through Vine or articles or whatever you prefer. So we want to thank you for listening. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to rate and review on iTunes, YouTube. Talk to us on Twitter. We always love that.
Share it. Give it to everybody you know. Keep the blue flag flying high. Let's go, Chelsea.
Yes, exactly. So stay carefree wherever you may be. We are out.
Oop.